Okay, so let's get right into it. This was one of those games, the kind that feels less like just a match and more like a seismic event. Manchester City versus Arsenal. A showdown at the top of the table that had absolutely everything on the line. And boy, did it deliver. I mean, that quote just nails it, doesn't it? That was the feeling everywhere heading into this game. The stakes just could not have been any higher. This wasn't just for 3 points. No way. This was for the momentum, the mental edge, and yeah, maybe the Premier League trophy itself. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the insane pressure before kickoff, run through the key moments and a very controversial one, give a shout out to some unsung heroes, and then wrap it all up by looking at what this huge result means for the title race. Right, first up, the showdown. You could seriously feel the tension in the air before a single ball was even kicked. Everyone, and I mean everyone, was billing this as the day the title could be won or lost. Just think about it. If Arsenal had won, they would have created a gap that, let's be honest, probably would have been too big to close. A real knockout punch. But City's victory? Man, it just flipped the entire script, turning what could have been a slow march to the title for Arsenal into an all-out brawl to the very end. Okay, let's get to the action on the pitch. And wow, this was one of those nail-biting, edge-of-your-seat kinds of games. It all came down to the absolute finest of margins. When you look at how this all played out, it's just wild how different the result could have been. First, Arsenal clatter one off the post. Then, believe it or not, their defender Gabriel hits the woodwork again. I mean, they were inches away from taking the lead. Then, out of nowhere, an unbelievable game-saving stop from City's keeper keeps things level. And after all that drama, who else? Of course, it's Erling Haaland who pops up at the other end and smashes home the winner. A game of inches is an understatement. And that phrase just sums him up perfectly, doesn't it? That's been Haaland all season long. When the pressure is cranked all the way up, he's the guy who delivers. This goal was classic him. But it wasn't just about the winning goal. There was one specific moment, a real flashpoint, that had everybody talking and arguing long after the game was over. Okay, so let's talk about this incident. You see Gabriel move his head towards Haaland, and it's aggressive. And, 9 times out of 10, any kind of head movement like that is seen as violent conduct. We've all seen it 100 times. With a different ref, on a different day, that's a straight red card. No questions asked. And if that happens, the whole game changes. And this is where it gets crazy. On the field, the ref gives a yellow card. But then you listen to the experts after the game, and they were all saying the exact same thing. It was unanimous. Red card. All day. Every day, as one of them put it. A huge, huge break for Arsenal. Now, thankfully for City, it didn't end up costing them the win. But wow, what a talking point. Arsenal really dodged a bullet there. That could have been the whole story of the match, but instead, it just became a lucky footnote for them. Okay, so we've covered the big goal and the big controversy. But a win of this magnitude is never just about 1 or 2 moments. It was a full team effort, and honestly, there were a couple of guys who put in massive shifts that we have to talk about. And for a lot of people, the man of the match, the guy who really truly stood out, was Nico O'Reilly. I mean, come on. For a young player to step up in a game with this much pressure and play like that, it was just unbelievable. So let's really look at what he did. In that second half, when everything was so tense, he was their defensive rock. He was everywhere, stopping crosses, breaking up Arsenal's rhythm every time they tried to build something. And it wasn't just his defending. His physical presence was amazing. He was so strong on the ball, protecting it under intense pressure. To have that kind of composure, that maturity, on a stage this big, just wow. A truly complete performance. And then there's Bernardo Silva. You just can't have a conversation about work rate without his name coming up. I love this quote. Like a bumblebee, it's so perfect because he was literally buzzing all over the entire field. Think about it. 1 second, you'd see him taking the ball off his own keeper to start an attack, and the very next minute, he's bombing back 50 yards to put in a match-saving tackle. That kind of relentless energy is contagious. It's exactly the kind of spirit, that grit, that you need to win these monster games. So, let's pull back and look at the big picture. What does this massive result actually mean for the league? Well, in short, it's blown the title race wide, wide open. Check this out. The lead is now down to just 3 points. And here's the kicker. City still have a game in hand. You can feel it, right? The momentum has completely swung. This is going to be such a tense and exciting finish to the season. And you can hear it from the players themselves. What's the mentality in the dressing room? It's simple. Every single game left is a cup final. There are no more regular matches. It's all or nothing from here on out. That's the only mindset you can have. You know what was really telling? Watching the players after the final whistle. There wasn't some huge, over-the-top celebration. It was professional. It was focused. They knew this was a huge win, but they also knew it was just one step. It was like they were all saying, okay, job done today. On to the next one. The war is definitely not over. So that's where we're at. The title race is on a knife's edge as we go into this final run of games. The pressure is just immense on both sides. And like we said, every match is a final. So the big question is, who's going to blink first?